Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kestra Wellness. So in this video, we're going to be going over why so many Amanita products out there are total crap, create no effect, or at their very worst, are downright dangerous to consume. Early on in our Amanita journey, we quickly discovered how nuanced this mushroom is and how it's just not as simple as measuring out a particular dosage and calling it a day. In this way, it's really unlike any other plant medicine or entheogen out there that I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot, probably all of them. If you've watched any of our content, most of it has to do with spotlighting the unique pharmacology of Amanita and how you can work with it in various ways to achieve different effects. Depending on how you prepare it and what dosage you work with on your research subjects, you can drastically influence both the quality and intensity of Amanita's effects. So this brings us to the first reason why so many products are such weak sauce, which is bogus extracts. So with these extracts, we assume a lot of vendors are using them in their products. These extracts are unfortunately rampant in the current market, and they're offered by various vendors. So how do we know that they are rampant? Well, we tested every extract we could get our hands on. And we even made our own tinctures from them and tested them pretty extensively on various research subjects. And we were excited about the idea of creating a simple, scalable product with these extracts. It would have been a dream to make an easy product out of these. However, these hopes were quickly squashed once we sadly realized beyond any doubt that these extracts were so weak that they might even be devoid of any psychoactive compounds. So how could this be, you might ask? A few reasons. Number one, the Amanita market is even less regulated than the broader supplement market in the US, and that's saying a lot. So this means that anyone can make wild claims about their product's contents and potency without offering any proof. And yes, this does mean that those third-party lab testing results that are offered and posted by the very vendors themselves selling these extracts means, you guessed it, absolutely nothing. Yes, it's extremely easy to fake those. The second reason is that the extraction methods these vendors are using are probably wrong. Ibotenic acid and Muscimol, the key compounds in Amanita, have shown to be extremely sensitive and susceptible to rapid degradation and destruction with heat, oxygen, and UV exposure, to name a few. So these compounds are pretty delicate and vulnerable, and also not studied too well, especially for some of these jokers to be claiming anything about their extraction methods. This means typical extraction methods used for other mushrooms or plants could very easily destroy what makes Amanita work. The second reason why most Amanita products are total trash is probably due to vendors using pulverized Amanita powders. Amanita powders, which is just pulverized or ground up Amanita dried caps, is what is used a lot in making products, especially chocolates, but sometimes gummies and other edibles. You can also buy these powders on their own in bulk or capsulized, as some of you have probably already seen out there. Don't get me wrong, these powders can be fine in theory. However, it's important to note how important it is for these powders to be stored properly. Powders are far more susceptible to degradation because of the increased surface area, making sunlight, oxygen, and moisture much higher threats. Powders can stay effective if stored correctly and used within their short shelf life. However, there's always a chance that these guidelines aren't followed somewhere along the supply chain, whether by human error, negligence, or just ignorance. We have purchased various powders from many different vendors that arrive in packaging that is totally inadequate, and the powders did absolutely nothing. So it would come as no surprise if vendors use these powders in making their gummies or chocolates. Whether they've been improperly stored or they're just powders that have been lying around too long, we believe weak powders are the second probable culprit in why so many Amanita products don't do anything. The third reason behind weak Amanita products is actually not so much of a reason but a red flag, which is research chemicals in Amanita products. So I've included a link below to some articles about this. And it's really not that surprising that this is occurring, because making a real Amanita product is difficult, it's time consuming, and low margin. So buying some lab-made chemicals from a supplier and spraying them onto a gummy is just way easier, way more profitable. And if a vendor is prioritizing profit over people's safety, which, let's be honest, is kind of the American pharmaceutical tradition, it's really not hard to imagine this happening more than we think. So, is it impossible to make a good Amanita product? Not really, but it's very rare and we can't really recommend any that we've found yet. We did actually find a method for making a tincture that worked, but it was incredibly delicate, time-consuming, and not really scalable at all, so we let it go. For now, we believe your best bet is to work directly with the mushroom, as nature intended. So, learn it, prepare it yourself, get to know it. That's where the magic of Amanita lies. Its responsiveness, its adaptability, and the way it allows you to tailor the experience to your needs. But that just can't be captured in a mass-produced, homogenized gummy or tincture or chocolate or whatever. Prepackaged Amanita products try to force a complex, individualized experience into a one-size-fits-all mold, kind of like the status quo, which robs you of your autonomy and of the deeper therapeutic potential this mushroom offers. So sure, it might take 45 minutes of prep once a month or something, but it's worth it. You'll grow to love the process, and more importantly, you'll reclaim your role as your own healer in a way. So thank you again for tuning in to this video, and stay tuned for our next video, which is still to be announced, but we promise it's going to be unreal. So we'll see you next video.